right, guys, welcome back to Burn the Ship, the podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to go all in on their business. Today, we have on Tara Broome, and I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely. Really excited to be here. Couldn't wait for this.
So, tell me a little bit about your business.
So, the business is Innovatus Staffing Solutions, and we are based in Charlotte, North Carolina. And we specialize in IT, engineering, and human resources. Of course, it definitely depends on what the client's needs are. We have two initiatives actually that I spoke about that actually set us apart. One being the Second Chance program or initiative, and that's for people with less favorable or felons backgrounds. Just partnering with companies to jump on board with hiring them, understanding the benefits of bringing people on. The main goal is to actually decrease recidivism. So if we're not giving those second chances, second opportunities, 9 times out of 10, people with less favorable backgrounds, they're going to kind of go back that uh, to that scenario, if you will. So the goal is to get people meaningfully employed. The second initiative that we have is the transitioning veterans into the workforce. So my husband, he is former military, and being in HR, I have seen the struggle, the challenges with retired military coming into the workforce. Because in the military, there's structure, there's discipline, control, if you will. But in corporate America, that's not normally the case. So it becomes chaotic. So the challenge is just the transition. So we also help the veterans to transition into the workforce.
That's amazing. I don't
Thank
see
you.
a lot of companies that are doing that, and that's something that's really important. How did you get involved with something like that? What's your background? How did you move from whatever you were doing into this?
Well, I've been in human resources for close to 25 years this September. So, being in HR, you see lots of different scenarios. You are dealing with people's livelihoods, first of all. Um, Typically, in recruiting, there's background checks, right? So, with that, if it comes back with some hits on there for some misdemeanors, some felons, most corporate companies would just kind of not even giving them
Cut
an
you out.
opportunity, right? So that's how that came about. Several years back, I'd say probably like 2015, 2016, I started seeing that was a huge situation in the Charlotte area. So again, the goal was to partner with companies so that we can get these people meaningful jobs so they don't have to resort back to the criminal activity. That's how I got into that. The transitioning the veterans into the workforce, at one time I was partnered with the Social Security Administration, just helping the veterans with resumes, mock interviews, things like that. And so, in talking to the veterans, you hear the stories. They really don't know what to do going into the workforce. This is something totally different for them. So, at that point, I saw a need to work with them more than just the resumes and the mock interviews, and just work to transition them, partnered with companies especially and the Social Security Administration to find some type of program or some steps or protocol that we can kind of guide or coach the veterans into, again, those mock interviews, policies that they're not going to be familiar with because, again, they're coming from more of a structured territory. So that's how I got into that part of it.
That's amazing, and I appreciate that just for you
Aw.
doing anything with vets or people that have been previously incarcerated.
Yeah.
That's something that I think that more people should do because I
Yeah.
think that there is a rehabilitation process that happens within
Absolutely.
them being gone. How have you felt with individuals going into that?
Um, you mean as far as
As far as the people that you're working with, do you pick and choose?
Well, no, I don't pick and choose. This is open for all. We're not, I mean, again, it's still going to be up to that company, though, to bring them in. Of course, depending on the
Okay.
nature of the.
So you're not vetting these people individually.
Yes, we will. We will, because I am a staffing agency. So we will vet them
That's what I
for
meant.
the company. Of course, obviously, we get the results back from the background checks. We talk to the client or the company to see if this is something that they could actually accept. And again, because we specialize in IT, engineering, and HR, those are going to be some of the more difficult fields to get someone with a less favorable background. And I always say less favorable background because I just think just calling somebody a felon or saying they have a misdemeanor, it just seems really cheesy to me. So again, we don't know the situations people are put in. Everybody deserves a second chance. So again, yes, we will vet, coach, guide them individually. Again, depending on the client. However, we do still have people in that candidate pool that have those backgrounds. So we can also go to that we've already vetted, by the way. We can go to those companies and say, hey, I have this great candidate for you. This is what they specialize in. Here are some of their, their credentials. And again, you'd be surprised. There are companies that actually do want to hear more. They may be skeptical about moving forward, but for the most part, they want to know more. And I see it happening more today than anything.
That's a great movement in our generation is people not taking something just because you had a felony, not taking it at like face value, like, oh, they had that, so cut them out.
Yep.
Actually learn their story and what they've gone through. And that's something that you can do.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
give them a chance to get their lives together because that's most companies just shut them down.
Yes. And so for that, to your point, we're actually speaking on their behalf to the client because we vetted these people, right? So I get to sell another person that doesn't necessarily sound good, but I get to sell their story and their background and their credentials and their expertise to companies. And again, a lot of companies are willing to hear, depending on the nature of the offense, depending on how long the offense was, or charges were filed. Everything is it all depends type of situation though. However,
Yeah,
but
like
we
look at
keep
every
pushing for it.
Look
Yep.
at every story, and
Yep.
every story is different.
Case by case scenario. Yep.
Right. So when you got into it, there's what you have with your husband. What gave you the actual drive to essentially defend these people and help them get out of the situation that they're in and move them into something better?
So there was a story, an article that I read, and forgive me because I honestly don't remember, but I remember there was a young woman in Seattle. She had a felony, white collar crime, and no company wanted to hear about her. She actually went out and she did the footwork. She got in the field and she pressed and pressed and pressed until somebody heard her. And it became a national story. And I was so impressed by that. Just the hope I'm not giving up on my life. So I'm going to keep pushing, and you're going to get 1,000 no's maybe, but that one yes is definitely going to change your entire life. And so I truly feel like that's part of why I'm here on this earth, to be able to transition, be a bridge rather, to transition people into meaningful jobs to enhance the value of their life. So that's actually how I got started with Innovatus Staffing Solutions, by the way.
I mean, that's great. You can't really ask for more. I know my dad served in Afghanistan, and when he came home, it was not great. So for you to be able to help vets and things like that is incredible. So I want to ask how, I know that there's other companies that can also help. How is yours different from theirs?
So I don't know with that because, again, like you said, I don't know too many companies that actually do that. So they will probably bring on a consultant or something like that. How mine is different is, one, we are a staffing firm, a boutique staffing firm, that is. And partnering with companies that know what our initiatives are. They understand our passion. And so we have full autonomy, first off, to be able to vet on our own and then send a candidate over. However, before we vet or before we send a candidate over to a company that's a veteran, we have to fully vet them first. Because sometimes there could be some issues mentally, physically. So we want to make sure that we're presenting any challenges that they may have that they're protected under, first off. And by the way, thank your dad for his service for me. So I'm sorry, repeat that question for me. I got into something.
No, I was just saying how you guys are different from.
What sets us apart? So, again, staffing firms normally don't have benefits to offer their candidates or their employees, rather. We're able to execute long or lengthier contracts for our employees. And so let's say you're coming to the staffing agency, we get you placed on a temporary basis. That temporary basis is more than likely going to be a minimum of 12 months. So with that, 9 times out of 10, someone does not have coverage, insurance coverage, medical, dental, vision, those things. And for veterans especially, that's really important. And for second chance initiatives, it's really important that we're able to offer those benefits because they go other places, especially those that have unfavorable backgrounds. It's hard to get a healthy insurance policy. And a lot of times they're going to get denied. So with group coverage, it's automatic for them. So that's what sets us apart on that end. And then again, as a staffing firm, we have things like Wellness Wednesdays. We are a company. So we're acting as a company, a corporate company that has employees all across, like you guys have in your office, and we treat them as they are employees versus just a temporary or contingent worker. So just more the passion and the drive that we have for what we do, what we're committed to doing, that's what I believe sets us apart.
So how do you guys have recruits? How do you guys look at that program?
Which program?
The program that recruits anyone from ex-military to the ex-convicts. How do you guys judge who you will take on?
So there's no judging there. Like I said, we welcome any candidate.
Okay, so there isn't anything.
No,
you just look at it by yourselves.
There's no guardrail or anything like that.
Okay.
We're looking at it. We're sharing this information with the company or the client, or we just have a candidate pool, right? So we are very transparent, letting the candidates know what the options are, what the likelihood is of obtaining a job within a certain amount of time. So again, just starting off with the communication, the transparency, it starts from there. So we just have a candidate pool. And obviously, if we're hiring for something, we're posting those positions. And you have the option to say people with less favorable backgrounds are welcome to apply to this role. Or the same, just making sure we have that disclaimer out there about the transitioning veterans into the workforce. So that's how we actually build the candidate pool right there. And we start vetting from there.
I appreciate you saying less favorable.
Yeah, I just think it sounds so much better.
It definitely does. But I am a big advocate for that as well. I think that everybody does deserve a second chance.
Absolutely.
Your one all doesn't mean it's the be all.
Absolutely. Right.
Your life.
Nor the end all. So, and then there are times where we can't get them those corporate type of roles. However, we're not stopping there. We're partnering with other agencies to help get these people jobs, because I don't want to ever tell a person, I can't do anything for you. Mm-hmm. If we can't do it, we can guide you in a direction that it can get done. So that's the biggest part for us.
100%. I do the same thing with us being a merchant service company. Mm-hmm. There are some things that we can't necessarily integrate into, right. Like we can't do certain systems, but I can almost guarantee you that I know someone that can, and I will refer you to them.
Absolutely.
If I can't do it, I know someone that can.
Absolutely.
So that's really important with your work.
It is. It is. Partnership, building relationships, the networking piece, how you and I met. That's going to be the most significant part of my role operationally because, again, just building those connections because if I don't know, I know someone who knows. If that person doesn't know, somebody knows somebody that knows somebody. So
Right.
that's pretty much how we live it.
Trickling down the
Yep.
line.
Yep.
Yeah. So how you started doing this, what do you see moving forward?
One, growth and just getting the staffing agency out there so that at the end of the day, everybody knows Innovatus Staffing Solutions. That's the ultimate goal right now. We got set back. COVID hit. I had just actually executed or got my business licensing in the state of North Carolina the year before. And I chose to leave my place of employment because I wanted to go full throttle with this. So it worked for a while and I was self-funding. Again, COVID hit, lost everything. And one of the things I do want to point out, Innovatus actually means to restore. I named the company before I lost everything. So maybe I was prophesying over the staffing service. I'm not sure, but it's taken time to rebuild. One, just to gain the confidence again, because losing everything, both personally and professionally, it was a heavy hit to me. And although I did not appreciate it, I hated it when I was going through it. I honestly feel like I was supposed to go through that. One, because it humbled me. It put me back into perspective of where I needed to be. My goal has always been to serve my purpose. I just really needed to find out what my purpose was. And as I mentioned earlier, I truly believe that I was put on this earth to be a bridge to enhancing livelihoods. I deal with people's lives all day long being in HR. And you hear stories. So I'm the person that I just want to make it better. And I have been told if God wanted you to save the world, he'd give you the resources. So that goes back to the if I can't do it, I know somebody that can, or they know somebody that can type of situation. So fast forward to now, we just relaunched actually October of last year. So what I see moving forward is growth, being able to get more people jobs. That's my biggest goal. So just an impact, making a big impact community-wise and ultimately nationally. That's my ultimate goal.
So what do you think was the biggest issue with developing this business? Was it like what you just went over? Or was there another issue that made it hard for you to go from one to the other?
It was.
Like essentially burning your ship and going from that to this?
One of the hardest parts as far as how I ended up losing the staffing agency, or we never closed completely. We just operationally, we were very stifled. I'll say that. That's the best word that I could think of. So what I see that actually happened is my mindset wasn't right. I figured if I want this done the right way, I can do it. I got to do it. Nobody's going to do it the way it should be done. That mindset, I tell anybody today, the wrong mind to have. You need to build a team, a leadership team that's going to have the same drive that you have. It's my baby, but there are other people that have the same passion that I have just to help people. So that mentality of I don't want to partner with anybody. I don't want anybody to help me. It's just me. Yeah. That was the biggest problem.
Just doing it by yourself.
Just doing it by myself, not trusting anybody. But again, that's
a hard thing for people to do though, because our audience is upcoming entrepreneurs that are trying to leave like a 9-to-5 job and start their own business, but they're scared of that, space.
Yeah.
That they may not be successful and they may crash and burn and not come out with anything. Or they can maybe be a little bit successful, or they can be extremely successful. So that mindset is different with everyone.
It is.
But trusting in yourself is essentially what you're saying.
Trusting in yourself to make the right decisions. I'll tell you, Earl Nightingale, there's a video that I watched of his in YouTube on YouTube. It's from a book, The Strangest Secret. And he talks about success, how it's measured. And yeah, it's a freaky situation. Trust me. Every day I'm nervous. I could be on edge. Sometimes anxiety hits, but I keep pressing because I know I have a goal. And if I just stop based off of my emotions, I'm not fulfilling my purpose. So again, it's the scariest thing to step out. And you hear a lot of times, just step out on faith. It's easier said than done. I'll tell you that. But I'll encourage anybody, just keep pressing, keep pressing. Do not stop. 9 times, well, you can't be successful without failure. And again, that takes me back to, I hated the space that I was in when I lost everything. But there's no way I can succeed without having gone through that, if that makes sense to you. So yeah, 100%. Keep pressing. Natural resources, you have the lower hanging fruit as far as funding. So that was one of my biggest things. Again, I was self-funding. I got a client that needed some staffing in Canada. So I was very excited about that. But remember, I'm doing this by myself, right?
Okay. Licenses.
Big failure. So again, I will always discourage people from doing it on their own. It's not going to work.
You need other people that you can trust involved in the business when it comes to doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and
especially if you want to go out of the country.
Yeah, delegate tasks.
You need some partners.
Yep, and when you step away, you're not freaking out or panicking because, oh my God, are they doing this the right way? Because you're relaxed now. You trust that. You've built that trusting relationship with your team, and that is what makes the big difference. I promise you.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Thank you.
So
I lived it. Still living it.
still in it.
Still living it. Yeah.
So are you just Georgia based? Or I know that you're in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
But are you nationwide right now, or what states do you cover so our listeners can
Southeast region, so North, South Carolina, Georgia, of course. I am pushing towards Virginia, a little bit Florida. Okay. I have some, hopefully, potential clients there that we can partner with soon in the Tampa area. But for right now, definitely the Carolinas, both North and South, and Georgia. Yeah, but yes, we are pushing for national.
Okay, cool. That'll be awesome.
It's gonna be awesome.
I think you'll be able to do it.
It's gonna be awesome.
So, yeah. What is the best clientele that I can possibly bring to you, or any of our listeners can possibly have you help?
First and foremost, anybody or any company with staffing challenges. Understanding that a staffing firm is going to take that burden off of them, full cycle recruiting, insurances, payroll insurance, workers' compensation, all of those things the staffing agency covers. So we're taking a lot of time and saving a company money on staffing. So again, companies that we're talking engineering, we're talking IT, we're talking human resources, and overall, just the staffing challenges. So looking for companies that are willing to or looking to partner with a staffing firm, first and foremost. Second, we'd love to talk to companies that would be willing to hear us out about our Second Chance initiative and definitely the transitioning the veterans into the workforce. Of course, that Second Chance program, that's going to be the more challenging concept to, get everybody on board with. And I do understand, but that does not mean we're going to stop trying to get companies to jump on board, on the bandwagon actually, because think about where we are today. We're in 2025. So we say we want to have everybody be able to survive, be able to just live day to day. I want more. I want people to be able to love their life because they get up to go to a job that they've dreamed about. So companies understand that. So again, to your question, companies that are willing to partner. Typically, your small to medium-sized businesses, we definitely have more of a rapport with, but just building. So right now, we're welcoming a company that's looking to partner with Innovatus Staffing Solutions and take it from there.
So, my last question for you is, what advice would you tell someone that would burn their ship? So, go all in on their business. Why are they dipping out? What's your line
When you
that
say
they can
dipping
learn
out,
from?
do you mean
Dipping out of their 9 to 5
oh,
and going all in on the business.
be sure that that's what you're ready for. And when I say that, most people that have jobs, there's employee assistance programs, start vetting themselves by going to talk to a counselor, just kind of having somebody understand what your goal is and kind of coach you through it. So start with a mentor, a therapist, something like that. And to be sure, seriously, because again, I thought I was sure, and I got people to tell me, do not stop, do not quit your job. That's your 9 to 5. You need that. And yeah, I did, but in my mind, I could do it because I've never been afraid to take risks. Most people are afraid to take risks, and I understand that. I'm the one that I'll jump and then look to see how far I have to go down. So I don't encourage anybody to do that, honestly.
Yeah, that's the opposite of most people.
Get your affairs in order before you make that move to actually resign from a 9 to 5. Have something saved, because I went through where I had a decent credit score, I had some money saved, so I went a couple of years. I was able to, make some things happen. But again, my funds started depleting, and I started going out for grants and loans and things like that, getting denied, very discouraging, wanting to stop everything. So goes back to make sure your affairs are in order, more specifically your financial affairs, because that is probably going to be the hardest part to get, especially for women. I've experienced it across the board. I have put money into grant writing programs to try to get funding. So I would say follow your heart, follow your dreams, but do it smart.
That's amazing advice, because most people didn't just follow up with or go through what you just said. And it's follow your heart, follow your dreams, follow your intuition, but they don't go in the backstory.
Yeah.
And say, like, listen, you're going to get so many obstacles that come in, and you need to figure that out first.
Yep.
Before you go all in on your business. Most people just say jump.
Yeah.
And you're saying don't jump. Make sure that your jump has a bridge that you can get over to the other side successfully.
Absolutely. And there's people that wouldn't agree because, again, you have a lot of faith-based scenarios, people that, I'm stepping out on faith, which that is a good thing. That's a great thing. However, you're supposed to have your affairs in order first. Yeah. Again, I didn't do that. So I'm speaking from experience, and everybody's situation isn't the same. But for those of us that have those struggles, have those challenges, a great support system is going to be the major piece in whatever you're doing. I got a lot of cheerleaders screaming at me, yay, get it. So that helps tremendously, especially those times where I'm like, I quit, I give up, because that still happens today. But I have cheerleaders. I have a great support system. So have that if you can. That's not everybody's scenario, but that's going to be the bigger moving parts, because for me specifically, a staffing agency has a lot of moving parts to it. So I know I can't do it by myself. And yes, that support definitely means the world to me, because now I have my why, my reasons for keep moving, keep pressing.
So beautifully spoken.
Don't you cry on me.
I'll do my best not
Don't
to.
You cry on me. I've done enough of that, trust me.
Okay, so tell our audience that is future entrepreneurs trying to leave their 9 to 5, give them a word of advice as to why burn the ship and why you did.
Because again, it's my passion, it's my dream, I'm committed to it. It's my baby.
So they should
So
follow the same thing.
follow it, but do it smartly. Local resources, get in tune with what's going on in your community. Partner with, depending on what the nature of the business is, partner with the right people. Like, for example, networking. You can never do enough networking. You just have to know the type of networking that you need to be doing. Me, for example, it's a staffing agency. It's not conducive to a staffing agency to go to a networking event every month that only has, let's say, clothing boutiques or bakers or something like that. Because no, they're not going to need a staffing agency, right? However, just being introduced to certain people, that goes back to that somebody knows somebody that knows somebody. So every once in a while, yeah, I'll involve the staffing agency with those types of networking events. However, network, build a business plan. Where do you see yourself at 5 years from now? Expenditure. So that goes back to that, get your affairs in order because you know what you're stepping into, to give you more confidence to be able to say, it's time. It's time for me to go ahead and leave this 9 to 5 and move towards my dream. So just plan, prepare, and know that there's not going to be a day that's not going to be challenging. That's the best advice I can give for now.
Yeah, well, that's great advice. Okay, so for our audience, tell us how we can reach you. If it's your
Absolutely.
LinkedIn, website, Facebook, give us all the details so that we can link it into the description.
Absolutely. So we are on LinkedIn. It's Innovatus Staffing Solutions, and that's spelled INNOVATUS Staffing Solutions. And then we're also on Facebook, Innovatus Staffing Solutions, and Instagram, it's just Innovatus Staffing. We can also be reached at info@innovatusstaffing.com. And then we have our website, www.innovatusstaffing.com.
Awesome. Well, y'all, please make sure to go check everything out. And I appreciate you so much, Tara, for coming in and spending some time with us.
I really do.
You are very intelligent.
Aw,
So, yeah,
thank
y'all
you.
go check out all the links below. And I appreciate you guys. And I
Thank
appreciate you.
Look forward.